Hello, my name's Chris Searle. I'm just off on my latest daredevil assignment. As you know, I find it hard to resist a challenge. Opera singing, ocean racing, there aren't many jobs I've been scared to tackle. But I only found out yesterday what it is I'm in for this time. It's always an exciting moment knowing I'm going to be thrown in at the deep end of some bizarre, exotic world that I know nothing about. And I had that familiar clutch of fear, of apprehension in my stomach as I waited to find out that just for a while, I was going to lead the life of...
a telephone salesman.
A what?
A telephone salesman. Find out all about it. Get it under your skin.
Selling telephones?
Live it and breathe it, sir. There's a story in there, and I want you to track it down. Track that story down in its lair and bring it back to me alive and struggling to be told.
Yes, sir. A telephone salesman. I ask you, where's the challenge? Where's the excitement? Where's the daring do? Where's the market? I mean, everyone who's on the phone has already got a phone. To be brutally honest, it sounded like a real non-job. But being conscientious as well as intrepid, I pulled myself together and thought I'd better do a spot of research. Good afternoon. I'm looking for a telephone.
There's a box across the road.
No, there's one in the window.
No, you can't use that. That's for sale.
Let's start again. You do sell phones here?
Well, we've got the display, yes.
Could you tell me something about them?
I can't myself, no.
Does that mean the man who usually deals with telephone sales isn't here at the moment?
No, it's me. We don't really have a man who usually deals with that, especially.
How do you sell them?
Oh, I can sell them. I just don't know anything about them.
I don't really see how you can help me.
No. Well, it depends what sort of thing you want to know.
Well, for example, what do they sound like?
Oh, I can tell you that. I can't really do that one. I've got a bit of a throat today.
Had I, by some strange chance, stumbled on the dullest job in the world? Darling, I've just stumbled on the dullest job in the world, selling telephones. Well, yes, of course I know there are lots of different kinds. There are... what's so special about a bloody cordless phone? Hello? 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 Oh, wonderful.
Shazam! Hello. Is that the magic words?
The magic words.
Hello, hello, hello! Oh, wonderful!
That wasn't quite the tone of voice.
So here I am. How do you do? My name is Dr. Hello.
Well, either that or you're wearing his shirt.
You've got the wrong idea, you know.
Look, I don't know quite what this is all about.
What is a telephone, Mr. Searle? Can you tell me that?
A telephone is a functional thing which you rent, and as far as I can tell, it's usually in the other room.
Functional? Functional? Oh, yes. Once upon a time, telephones were just plain functional.
Hello? This is E-Frame. I'm snowed in. Send help.
Today, we've put the fun into functional. And why not? People get bored with the same old thing.
And if you can't send help, send a better-looking telephone.
Nowadays, phones are even better looking than I am.
An elegant telephone says something about a room, doesn't it?
Like what?
Like swanky gaff.
This is more what you call swanky gaff.
The new telephone, your ladyship.
Put it over there, Bladders.
Very good, your ladyship.
The finishing touch.
The finishing touch. I like that.
Phones can be glamorous.
Hang on, I'm wearing my peach. I'm just going to change you over. That's better. I can only chatter when I'm matching. Now tell me, what is this scandal about Joachim?
You see, today, phones are fashionable.
Wearing what?
No, the blizzard let up weeks ago. I just wanted an excuse to talk to somebody on the phone. You see, I got me this new one here. It's got 10 memories, it's got last number redial, it's got a little oil lamp in the window.
Perfect.
Can I ask you a personal question?
I'm sure you can.
What kind of telephone are you?
What?
Well, given the choice, most people like to express themselves.
You mean with a telephone that suits their personality?
Of course. I mean, you know right away when a telephone's right for you. The minute you see it, you say, hello.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Hello? Hello. This is clever.
Today, phones are clever.
I tell you why they're clever. Because they can remember numbers, which is more than I can do these days. You see, when you get to a certain age, memory is the second thing to go. And for me now, there is absolutely no safety in numbers. As distinct from my mate Frank Muir. Now, he can remember anything, which is why I have to telephone him now, because my car's been stolen. Now, normally, I couldn't do this at all because he's in Australia and no way could I remember a 13-figure telephone number. But because that's all stored in here, I can just leave it to the machine and just... Hello, Frank? Dennis here. Listen, what's my car registration number? Oh, yeah. Thanks. There you are. Just leave it to the telephone. What number did he say?
British Telecom, this phone you sent me, where's the toilet?
There's really quite a variety, isn't there? It's quite hard to choose the right one.
Why only one? Who says you should just have that one phone in the hall?
What's going on?
Well, she's in the garden, you see. She doesn't want to tread mud all over the sitting room carpet, so she's hoping her husband will answer the phone.
John! Telephone!
Her husband?
Yes, you can't see him. He's in the loo. He's rather hoping she'll answer it.
In other words, if she plans to spend a lot of her time gardening and he likes to, read the Financial Times uninterrupted, as it were...
All right, I'm coming!
They actually need more than one phone.
Now look what you've done. There's mud everywhere.
Telephone!
I hope they can afford another phone.
Or two. One could be cordless and the other...
Conveniently placed?
Why not? Today, phones are convenient.
Bit expensive, though, renting several phones.
Who's talking about renting? We're talking about buying.
Well, if I can't afford to rent, I certainly can't afford to buy.
But it's cheaper to buy. A modern telephone can cost you less than £30.
Really? As little as that? Well, a lot of people think of a telephone as a luxury item, but at prices like that, I suppose you could put it in with the rest of the shopping.
Take home an extra phone today.
Pick up a phone. Great selling line.
You could even give phones as presents.
For special occasions.
Happy birthday, darling.
What is it?
It's for you.
Well, you've certainly brought me up to date. Do you think the guy I met in that shop has any idea about all this?
Well, if he doesn't now, he soon will do. I mean, this is the big news the 80s have been waiting for. It's a market worth 50 to 80 million pounds a year.
Selling phones? Well, thank you. And Dr. Hello, goodbye.
Don't mention it. And if ever you need me again, you know what to say, don't you?
Hello, hello, hello. Oh, wonderful.
Shazam!
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Derek, you know this is my patch.
So, you think telephones are dull, eh?
Look, we've done all that.
Yes, I'm with it now.
What you call me in for then?
No, it was my fault. I foolishly blurted out, hello, 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 oh, wonderful.
So, you think telephones are dull, eh?
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Jeffrey, this is ridiculous.
They seem to have a bit of a crossed line. I'm off to British Telecom now to meet the real experts who are going to teach me everything I need to know to help me sell telephones. So, product knowledge, here I come. In just 3 days, I'm going to be thrown right in at the deep end, selling telephones to customers in a real shop. What sort of questions will I be asked? What are the selling points of all the different phones? I need a thorough briefing from the people at Telecom headquarters who know all the answers.
Chris, at least 2/3 of your customers are going to have installations like these. Two types here. This one, first of all, is the old grey plastic box that British Telecom used to screw to the wall. The telephone's wired in there, can't be moved. Things moved on a bit a few years later to our first plug and socket, which is this fella here, which did allow the customer a degree of mobility.
Now, when I become a real salesman in a real shop, and you'd like me to persuade my customers of the value of this, how do I persuade them that that is better than that?
This style of plug and socket is at the heart of the telephone revolution we're now experiencing. All modern telephones fit this type of plug and socket. Now, there are three types we're looking at here which we're concerned with. What you've got is a basic flush-mounted wall socket here which just plugs and unplugs just like this one here. This is designed to stand proud on a skirting or on a wall for ease of installation. This fella here allows you to double up. So, for instance, you could put a telephone and an answering machine or even two telephones on one socket.
Over this question of do-it-yourself, supposing a customer comes into me and wants to equip his house with sockets, that's okay, is it?
That's a good question, because you're going to face that from your customers. The truth is that you or your customer must not install these. It's quite illegal. British Telecom hold the monopoly for wiring people's homes as things stand at present.
And once I persuaded my customer of the value of the plug and socket idea, how do I then go on to persuade them to buy lots of them?
First of all, the greater the number of sockets that your customer has, the greater the number of places he can move his phone or phones to. One in the lounge, one in the hall, kitchen, upstairs, and so on. So he can shift his phone around the house as he pleases. Secondly, you're persuading people to buy telephones. Quite an investment for them if they buy a lot, which hopefully they will. When they come to move, they can unplug all the phones and take them with them because the phones belong to them.
Is there any limit to the number of telephones and sockets you can have?
There is a limit to the number of telephones you can have, something we call REN or ring equivalent number. And you'll notice if you turn a phone upside down that it's got an REN number on it. Any home installation should not have more than an REN of 4. But if somebody has more than 4 phones, the phones won't ring. There isn't enough power in the system to make them ring.
Once the customer's decided to buy, what's the next step? I mean, how does he get the sockets put in?
Okay, it's very simple for the customer. As things stand, all he has to do is phone his local British Telecom office or phone the operator, and she or he will put him through and say, hey, I'd like some new sockets, will you come down round and do them? BT will do that. They're very tidy, very efficient and very quick.
One of the objections I suspect I'll get is that people will say their phone bill is already enormous. They don't want an extra bump in it that quarter. Now, how can I justify the extra cost to them?
It's a very simple sum. If you look at the total cost of sockets and telephones, compare that with rental, that'll give you a payback period. Tell your customer just how quickly he's going to recover his money. Normally it's a timescale of about 2.5 to 5 years, depending on how many phones and sockets.
Now, one thing that can't have escaped anybody's notice, because it's in all the advertising, is the question of the stickers, the green spot and the red triangle. What do they mean?
Sure. Frankly, this is a real pain. What they mean specifically, the green dot says this equipment is approved for connection to the BT network. The red triangle says it's prohibited from connection to the BT network. There is some confusion about it, a legal situation, and you need to understand that and make sure your customers do. Basically, it is quite legal to sell either product, but it is absolutely illegal to connect red triangle product to the network. And in doing that, your customer could be breaking the law and ultimately could be disconnected.
Now, supposing somebody's agreed to have a plug and socket arrangement put in, the telecom man comes along and takes out the old phone. What happens to the old setup?
They may well have asked BT to come round and do the conversion for them to sockets, at which point, if they decided they don't want to rent a phone anymore, they just ask BT to take it back. BT still is required to provide the telephone line to your front door, but you are no longer, as a customer, renting the instrument.
Now, in quite a short time, I'm going to be a real salesman in a real shop, selling your products. Have you got any final words of advice for me?
The thing I really want to say to you is that you're facing quite a fantastic market opportunity. Let me just put that in context. There are something like 16 million telephone installations in the UK, domestic installations. Only 4 million or so of those have an extension phone. So immediately, forgetting about RENs and the other things we've talked about, you have the opportunity to sell 12 million extension telephones. What more can I say?
Virtually all telephones these days have press buttons. It's quick, it's modern, it's efficient. It really does save you having to wait for each digit to come back on the old rotary dial.
Do you get through to the number quicker?
At present, no. But once our new system of digital exchanges, System X, have been connected throughout the UK, then connection on a telephone call will be immediate.
Now, I can see buttons, normal buttons, sort of 1 to 9, well, 1 to 0, actually, but there are two little orange ones. What do they do?
S and MR are simple facilities that are on nearly all telephones these days. S is the secrecy button. Used to be a time when you could just put your hand over the mouthpiece and say what you liked about the caller you were speaking to.
It's bloody George on the phone again.
Right. These days, the whole telephone is much too efficient to allow that to happen. He can hear you. So we have a S which cuts out that completely, and bloody George can't hear a word you're saying. The MR button is a memory redial. It will remember the number you dial so that when you dialed it, it's engaged. Instead of relying on your memory to remember that number, you can actually get the telephone, just press that button, it dials the number out for you.
Now, you've got one of these phones very conveniently mounted on the wall. Does that mean that any phone can be put on a wall?
Yeah, virtually all our range of Inphones can be wall mounted. Take them away from the counter and onto the wall out of the way. This is one of the Viscount phones that we've just been looking at on the simple facilities.
What about this one over here? This looks very different from the run-of-the-mill phone. If a customer came to me and asked me why I would pick that one as against the other one, what sort of advantages could I offer?
First of all, it's the most inexpensive of the Inphone range. It's very neat. It wins on its aesthetics, and even with the wall bracket, it's still the most inexpensive telephone that we supply. There's a colour range now. It's a very attractive little telephone. Style, neatness.
Now, we're talking about home phones here. Who in the average household picks the telephone?
It does vary, but the results of the market research on Slimtel, for example, still show that the ladies amongst us are interested in the aesthetics, the style, the colour, and the the men are more interested in what the buttons do, the actual facilities.
Right, so all our worst prejudices have come true in this case.
Right, we're still stuck with stereotypes.
Just to sum up what you've told me then, the advantage of push-button dialing on a phone like the Viscount is that it's faster, although you don't actually get through any quicker. But it has the extra buttons. It has the silent button, which enables you to talk without having to hold your hand over the mouthpiece. And the other one, which is the memory redial, the built-in redialing if the number you want is engaged. Virtually all phones can be wall-mounted, which can be a tremendous convenience. And the SlimTel is really sold on grounds of its price and aesthetic qualities. Some people prefer it. What about the sound of phones? All phones seem to warble these days. I know there's quite a strong anti-warble faction. Some people hanker after the good old days of the bell. Do all phones have to warble?
We still cater for the nostalgia of the bell. There are one or two telephones that still have bells in them, but largely they all are now fitted with tone callers. But even those tone callers warble in a different way. This is the Viscount Super 4. It offers quite a few facilities to your end customer, one of which is on-hook dialing, sometimes called call monitoring as well. It's a very useful facility and it's very easy to use on this telephone. The switch at the back is pushed across. You can now hear dial tone without picking the handset up. Then you dial your number, any number at random. In the meantime, while the telephone's dialing out, you can be getting on with some work in the study or something in the kitchen. You've got both hands free.
Now, when it answers, I can't talk straight back to it.
When it answers, you have to pick up the handset. You can't speak to them direct.
Chris?
It's that random number of yours. It's for me, isn't it? Hello? Darling, I'll call you later, okay? Bye. British Telecom works in mysterious ways. Now, what about the other gadgets? What else does it do?
At the bottom, you can see the 3 orange digits. The N button stands for notepad, whereby if you want a telephone call to somebody, for instance, to directory inquiries, you can actually program another number, the next number to be called, into the memory of the telephone while you're on the call. Then you hang up, get dial tone, and you can dial that number again automatically. That also acts as a silence button if you want to make a confidential aside. It also has a 4-number call maker store, and that dials out automatically. They just push 2 buttons and it calls those numbers, so they don't have to look them up every time.
Now, this is called the...
That's the Viscount Super 4.
What about these two?
It's a Scepter 100. You've got two of the colour models here. As you can see, something which is very noticeable from the Scepter is it has a display across the top of the telephone. For instance, when you're automatically dialing out a telephone number, it shows the digits as you're calling. For instance, as you can see, the numbers come up. It virtually eliminates wrong numbers. It also has a 10-number call maker store, which should cover most of the numbers that a residential customer will want to use on a regular basis. Also ideal for small business customers as well. You're able to time the calls. When the person at the other end of the telephone answers, if you push the CT button, it automatically times the call in minutes and seconds. This is moving on again. This is the Venue 24. It has a 24-number memory store. On the display on the Venue, it also has, when you dial the number in, you're able to see that the numbers flash as it dials out.
Oh, I can see that, yes.
This emphasises the telephone number that's being dialed. Again, it virtually eliminates wrong numbers. People can see the number they're dialing. You also have on this, which you don't have on the Scepter, is an alarm facility. If you're going to a meeting, you have an appointment you want to keep, you can program in the time that you have to leave.
Now, they're bound to have quite a high price tag because of the gadgetry in them. Now, are we selling executive toys here, or is there really a practical purpose behind these gadgets?
We've done extensive market research in the telephone market, and all the facilities that are incorporated in our telephones are ones that the customers have said they want. Also, as well, from your point of view, selling advanced technology to the customers is a better markup for you.
Well, there's one phone we haven't looked at yet, and it's this one. It's a very business-like instrument. What does it do?
Yes, this is the EasyCom. It's a full 2-way loud-speaking telephone. As with the Viscount Super 4, when you dial the number and they answer, you have to pick up the handset. With the EasyCom, you don't have to. I'll show you how it works. If we push the the on-off switch to get the dial tone, the line. Let's try last number redial on here, the last number that was dialed in. You can hear it ringing out to the person on the other end of the line. When it answers, you don't have to pick the handset up. Just speak into the microphone.
I can see the word mic written there. Yes, that's where
right.
it is it?
Just at the front there.
Hello?
Hello? It's your random number again, isn't it? Darling, this job is a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. There's some really terrific telephones. There's one with hands-free dialing. There are ones with liquid crystal displays and 10 memories. There's even one with 24 memories and a wake-up call, so you get a cup of tea in the morning. And the one I'm talking to you on now has a microphone and a loudspeaker. I don't even have to touch the telephone. What do you think of that?
Lovely, darling. What time will you be home for dinner?
Cordless telephones are a wonderful invention. They give you complete flexibility. You can have a cordless telephone, plug it into a telephone socket, and then take the handset away with you. Use it wherever you happen to be, in the garden, in the attic, on the roof, in the garage or workshop.
What's the choice?
Well, BT produced 2 cordless telephones. I'm speaking to you now from the Hawk.
How do these things work?
Well, they work by radio frequency between the handset and the base station. A telephone call comes in to the base station, and radio waves then extend the call through to the handset.
Do they all work on the same frequency?
No, the Department of Industry have allocated a waveband for the use of cordless telephones. Within that waveband, there are 8 frequencies.
Now, if there are only 8, isn't there a risk that when everybody's got one of these things, there's going to be a great clash, a great interference?
Well, they only work over a certain distance, of course. The distance depends on the power in the unit itself, and the power is limited by the specification.
Now, I've seen a lot of unapproved cordless telephones around. Why are there so many on the market?
Well, cordless telephones have been around for quite some time, but they've only been approved recently. That means that a lot of those telephones that have been around for some time are working on illegal frequencies. I wouldn't like to have one of the illicit ones, because if it's using an illicit frequency, you might be interfering with emergency services, fire, police and ambulance and so on. You could actually end up talking with a minicab service.
Well, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I certainly wouldn't want to interfere with an ambulance or anything. Incidentally, where are you now?
I'm on the roof of the office block.
You're not, are you? What a funny coincidence. So am I. Hello, I can see you. Ridiculous. Now, I can see from here that you've got a different model from the one I've got in my hand. Now, you described yours to me earlier. What's mine? What's the difference?
Well, I've got the Hawk, you've got the Curlew. They're basically the same. Yours is an enhanced product. It has a 9-number memory, as well as last number redial and notepad facility.
Now, if a customer buys one of these, either model, have I got a lot of complicated instructions to give him before he takes it away?
Well, they know they want a cordless phone, and obviously you'll have explained it to them. It's not just a simple telephone. You should really instruct your customer to read through the instructions. He does need to charge it for 24 hours. The handset works on a rechargeable battery, and it takes something like 24 hours to charge it up in the first place. Having taken your handset away, you can use it for something like 7 or 8 hours before it needs recharging again. But when it's not in use, and you're going out or you're not going to use the telephone, it's best to put it back on the base station in order that it can be recharged again.
Some things that you should find very easy to sell from our range are our plug-in accessories. We've got 3 at the moment. There's the plug-in tone ringer, the plug-in doubler, and the telephone extension cord.
Okay, well, let's start with the telephone extension cord. What would you use that for?
Well, it's 3 meters in length, which means that when you use it with your telephone, you effectively double the length of the cord. So you've got the great advantage of added mobility. You don't need any extra sockets, and yet you can move your telephone around the room.
Right. What about the doubler?
Well, the doubler plugs directly into the telephone socket, much like an electrical adapter. And the great thing with that is that if you have, for example, a telephone answering machine, you don't have to keep switching them. You can put them both in together.
Okay, and the ringer?
The ringer, well, that has sort of two main advantages. You can use it in different ways. Again, plug it directly into the socket, or if you choose into the doubler. The main thing it's used for is as an extension, which means that you can plug it somewhere else in the house. If your telephone's ringing and you're away from it, you can actually hear it. Or if you're hard of hearing or you have your telephone in a noisy atmosphere, it'll actually enhance the volume of the telephone if you plug it into the doubler.
Now, I can imagine a lot of shop salesmen worrying that maybe these are low-value items which aren't going to move very fast, and yet they're taking up valuable shop space. Why should they have them?
Oh, well, that's not the way to look at it at all, because the main selling point of these items is that they offer you really high margins. Added to that, we've packaged them in this attractive blister packing, which is really eye-catching, I think. So you're much more likely to make a sale, either in their own right, because the customer decides he doesn't want the telephone after all, but that little tone ringer looks useful.
And this is Robin, one of the range of British Telecom's Inphone answering machines.
And it does as the name suggests, does it? It records answers.
It's an answering recording machine. It's a beautiful product and it's very cheap.
Now, what about using it? Is it complicated?
It's so simple. It's a beautiful product. You get it in the box with the doubler so that you can plug it into the socket. You don't even have to have an engineer around to put in an additional socket. So you use the doubler, you plug your telephone into one socket, this into the other, and the power into the mains. And then you record your announcement on the single cassette, C60 type cassette. When you go out, you switch it over to answer, the green light comes on, and it's ready to give an announcement to an incoming caller.
Which is the switch?
This switch here. When you come back, if the green light is flashing, you slide it over at home. You then press the bottom button, and it will play back any messages that callers have left for you.
Couldn't be simpler.
You can't lose a call that way. You know who's called you. You never lose any business.
Now, businesses have them, but how do you justify somebody having one of these in their home?
At the price this is, even residential people can't afford to be without one. You never know who's called. You might lose an invitation to Buckingham Palace. You might have won the football pools and not know about it.
Right. Well, here's another device which looks a little bit like two for the price of one. There's a telephone sitting on what looks to me like a telephone.
Well, this is Sherwood, the call cost monitor.
From Robin to Sherwood. You've got Little John and Friar Tuck as well, haven't you, up your sleeve?
No, we haven't. This is a call cost monitor, which means that it monitors the calls as they're being made. As you lift the handset and key out your number, it then prices the call as the call units mount up. When you put down the handset, it shows you the cost of accumulated calls since you've last read the memory of it, and then it will go back to time again. It shows the time always.
What are all the other buttons for?
Well, they're necessary for programming. You've got security in there, so you put your own personal identifying number. And it also lets you know when it's being disconnected, when someone tries to avoid having their calls metered.
Does it read at the same rate as the meter in the exchange?
Not exactly, because this is working on real time, whereas the meter in the exchange is ticking over at possibly a different time, but it's monitoring the calls.
So it shouldn't be used as proof of overcharging, for example. It's more of a guide.
That's right.
By now, I felt as though I had telephone knowledge coming out of my ears, but I knew I had just one day to go before I faced my first real customers. The trouble was, I still didn't know anything about selling, so they arranged for me to have a crash course with an acknowledged expert.
Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
Good morning. Come and sit at the front.
It turned out to be a charming sales trainer called Jenny Drew, who quickly put me at my ease.
Sit here.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, how do you do? Have a seat here,
Here,
please.
okay.
Yes.
But I found out I had a lot to learn in one short lesson.
Golden rule number 1. Never approach from behind. Why do you think that is?
Give somebody a nasty jolt.
Absolutely right, yes. If you walk into a store to buy something because it looks really groovy outside and you hear the music and it looks great, and so you go inside and you're met with a sour face, then it doesn't bode too well, does it? So the first thing that anybody wants to see is a smile. The thing to remember, of course, is that people buy from people. We buy from the people that we like. And if you notice that while I'm talking to you, I'm maintaining an eye contact with you.
I did notice that.
Imagine you went into a high street store, okay, and the assistant came up to you and said, "Good morning, Mr. Searle, nice to see you. How are you today?" How would you feel?
I would feel thrilled and flattered.
Flattered.
And I'd probably
Good.
buy everything in the shop.
What would you say to a customer that approached, came in the store? What would you say to the customer for the first time?
Having smiled, this is.
Having smiled, yes.
Good morning, can I help you?
Now that is the classic response. What's wrong with that? What's the risk of that? What can I say to that?
I suppose you could say no.
Exactly.
No, thank you.
Exactly.
That's a good
And
point.
an awful lot of people do. Okay? Ways how not to say, "Can I help you?"
It's like a conjuring trick with Paul Daniels. How did you know I was going to say that?
Right. So, what sort of things can we say?
It's actually quite difficult. I don't know what I'd say. Somebody comes into a shop and starts looking at things. I might say good morning, nice day. Those are very cheap. Any good?
I don't like the word cheap, Chris. Those are particularly good quality, very economical, value
yes.
for money.
That's better, yes.
Right.
Quite right. After only 2 hours, I'd found out just how tough a job I'd taken on. So it was with real fear I prepared to face my first customers. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon.
You looking at any particular phone?
Yeah, we wanted one for the kitchen, really. You know, like
Yes.
a wall phone, but this isn't. Doesn't go very far, does it?
Ah, well, there's one answer to that. How far do you want the flex to go?
Well, you know, just when you're cooking and stuff, you can just sort of hold it there and.
I want to buy an answer phone machine.
Yes.
Is this the only one you have?
That is the very latest in the telecom line, so yes. Yes, madam.
I'm inquiring about these new phones for my mother.
Yes.
Who lives on her own.
Uh-huh.
And she's only got
Morning,
one
madam.
phone downstairs. And I just thought it'd be such a good idea. She had one of these ones that you can plug in.
When you
So she
say
could take
downstairs, do you live in the same house, do you?
No. She knows.
No,
she
I
lives
live in the country.
Yes.
I've got a perfectly good telephone in the hall. I mean, I don't want another one.
This has last number redial facility, which means
Oh,
that
is that LR? That's.
LR, yes. If you make a call and the number you want is engaged.
Well, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Just.
I've never had a telephone upstairs.
It's quite normal for people to have sockets all over the house now. A lot of people are having these sockets.
Well, I can
Would be
always
a
come
nice-
down the stairs to the hall, as I've always done
Well,
all
let's just
my...
have-
I'll show you how it works. It's very simple to operate. When you're out, you switch it to the answer position, right? It's just one switch, effectively. When you come home, you slide that to the at-home position, which is this one, which comes in a variety of colours, and that's very smart. That has you can mount that on the wall or just stand it on a table, and that also comes, you can have the extension flex.
How much is that one?
That's $59.95, and it's remembered the last number you dialed, so you just press that button, and it
Oh,
does
I
the
don't
does the
think I should
dialing
like
for you.
that.
But would you want to ever ring the machine up from somewhere away from base, so to speak, to check your messages, to listen to your messages? Because you can do that with that without
really?
using
No.
yes, and you don't even need a bleeper for it. You can ring it up, and with a voice code signal, you can make it play back the messages for you.
They're very light, aren't
Would you like
they?
to try it? Yes.
No, I like a bit more weight to my telephone, you know.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
How can I help you?
I'm looking for a phone with a memory.
Okay, Danny, I think what we really want is just a phone that you can plug in.
Fine.
And which would be jolly useful to take upstairs.
But
when
you,
you
yes,
wanted
you,
it,
you
don't
were so
think?
anxious for me to
This
have
is-
one in the bedroom,
I
aren't
think
you?
it would be a jolly good idea.
Very
so
easy
that
to
we could
arrange
get in
that.
touch with
Yes.
Well, I
certainly.
suppose it'd be rather cosy to get in bed, have an early night and ring you up or something.
Let me show you this one to start with, the Scepter 100. You can see the colour range there. Now, it stores 10 memories, so the 10 most used numbers that you have, you can very simply program in. I can show you on the other machine if you want to see exactly how it's done, but it also has the advantage of having a built-in clock, which also allows you to time calls if you want to, and that can be a great cost saver.
Right. Well, I'll take the Robin and I'll think about the other one.
Very good. Well, you come back and have a look at that again sometime. Thank you very much, sir. Would you like to choose a colour? There's the red.
Yeah, I want the blue. I want that blue one.
The blue.
Yeah.
All right, that's
And
fine.
I want the flex.
Yeah, and the extra flex.
Yeah,
yes,
I
of
must
course.
have the extra
All right.
flex.
Then I'm
And
afraid.
what is the price of these?
These are this model that you were looking at.
Yeah.
The 12 memory one is £49.95.
That's not so bad, is it?
These look posh, though, aren't
Are you
they?
looking for a phone?
Well, we've got a phone.
Yes.
Just, you know, a black one, but...
Yes. Do you have a particular colour scheme in your bedroom that you'd want to match up with?
Oh, yes, it's blue.
Blue? Well,
Yes.
there's a range of blues. There's this telephone, the Sceptre 100, is a very nice shade of blue. Would that go with it?
No, it's too green.
Okay.
Oh, it does work.
That's Snoopy, and that's...
Oh, my
There you
kids
see.
would love that.
Hello?
Oh, it works.
Good, isn't it?
It's great.
Oh, that's better, yes.
Yes.
The other salon I have has got a very romantic mood to it. Anything you can do?
Oh, yes. Well, I think we've got just the thing. So, look, have a look at these stylish decor phones. There's one in solid wood.
Oh, they're beautiful.
They
They're
are lovely.
antique, though, really, aren't
They're
they?
a simulated antique, yes. They're,
Oh, now if I could have my pick, it'd be one of those.
You like those, do you?
Try something like dinner steel, isn't it? That white one. You could see crystal with that, couldn't you?
absolutely, yes. But the other thing is it comes with a wall bracket, which means you can mount it on a wall.
Oh, that's excellent. Yes, that's very good. Yes, I think
Sounds a very good idea, doesn't
would
it?
be nice.
Very nice.
Right, well, I'll get one out of the stockroom. Perhaps you'd like to come and join me at the cash desk, would you?
Would you gift wrap it, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Well, that's the end of my day. I suppose any experienced retailer would spot straight away that I'm not the world's greatest salesman, but we sold a few. And the reason is simple. British Telecom have a really super range of products with a wide choice of features and colours. And of course there's that indefinable quality which goes with a household name which is still going to be around in 10 years' time. Inphone are going to be pushing very hard, and the stores and Telecom's own shops will be with them every inch of the way.
It's for you.
Oh, thank you. Hello? I must have phones on the brain. This isn't a phone, it's a banana.
That's what you think. You'd be surprised at what they come up with nowadays.
Hello? 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 Oh, one. Super. Darling, I have just been doing the most fantastic job in the world. Yes, selling telephones, yes. I know there are red ones and blue ones and green ones.
Goodbye. British Telecom. You mean the British have the telephone now?